Hi, I'm David McKenzie with ChicagoStyleSports.com and CubsChat.com, and I'm here to talk about the irresponsible, incomprehensible, reckless comments made today by Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless on ESPN's First Take regarding Jake Arrieta and an insinuation of potential performance-enhancing drug use. Okay, so if you haven't seen it yet, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. had this conversation that discussed Jake Arrieta's somehow out of nowhere rise to being the best pitcher in baseball. What they tried to bring up as evidence of that was quite possibly the worst case ever made by a sports journalist in any place in the history of sports journalism. So let's get to it. Stephen A. tried to bring up as evidence to this Jake Arrieta PED insinuation that the years leading up to 2014, Jake Arrieta only pitched 75, 23.2, and 51.2 innings pitched. Suddenly, here he comes, and he's a workhorse. Wrong, Stephen A. Jake Arrieta's arm doesn't only throw at the major league level when he's coming up the chain. That arm is actually throwing on the minor league level. And there is this little thing, this little company that perhaps Stephen A. and ESPN could look into using or maybe providing as an option for their journalists called Google. It's Google. It's this really small search engine company. And had you used that, Stephen A., you would know that in 2010, between the major and minor leagues, Jake Arrieta threw 173 innings pitched. 2011, 119. He was shut down in August because he had to get a bone spur removed from his elbow. You talked about him always being healthy. There's a bone spur removed. 2012, 170 innings pitched. 2013, 154. Without the injury year, he's averaging 165 innings pitched over 3 years. 2014, he's thrown 175. He's right in line. So, Stephen A., I'm asking you, as someone who for some godforsaken reason people look at as a credible source of information, to possibly start doing this small search engine, Google, and searching your facts. Now, in 2015, he threw 229 innings pitched. Now, we'll get to that. But as you can see, his information on ESPN's First Take is categorically wrong. Now, Skip Bayless then chimes in with perhaps the most honest and realist statement I have ever heard him make in the history of the show ESPN First Take, even going back to when it was First and 10 or Cold Pizza. This might have been the most honest statement that Skip Bayless has made. That's when he opens his mouth and he says, I don't have a clue either. Absolutely right, Skip. Of course not. If it comes to not having a clue about what you're talking about, Skip Bayless, you own a monopoly on that. I mean, you're the guy who thinks Derek Fisher was going to be a better coach than Steve Kerr and Josh Freeman was going to be a better quarterback than Cam Newton. But then you go on to give your opinion anyway. That's mind-blowing to me. You already said you have no idea, but yet your irrelevant opinion you feel needs to be spewed. Okay. To which you say he toiled in minor league obscurity and came out of nowhere, whereas a pitcher, and I quote, like Max Scherzer, was good from the start, from the very start. Well, I would not call being a top 40 overall prospect in all of baseball being minor league obscurity or coming out of nowhere. But further, you said Max Scherzer was good from the start? Are we talking about the same Max Scherzer, the guy traded from the Diamondbacks, never ranking higher than 66 on the top 100 prospect rating list? That Max Scherzer, he was good from the start? Okay, so I understand. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue. You've made that perfectly clear. You opened your mouth anyway. I forgive you, Skip. I think everybody in America understands that your opinion means zero. Now, you then go on to talk about how he's ripped and how that's not an actual evidence of steroid use, but it's a fact. He's ripped, and that's what you said. So, you're right. And I guess when somebody has a Pilates room named after them in the team clubhouse, they're going to be ripped. That being said, if anybody, any of you watching, ever see the guy at the gym with the veins popping out of his head, screaming on every bench press set, maxing out at 550 pounds, if you ever see him walk into a Pilates room, please tweet me, DMcCann22. Tweet that to me. I want to see it. There is no chance in hell that guy on steroids is walking in a Pilates room. Never. Not yoga, not Pilates, nada. So yeah, he's ripped. Now Stephen A then finishes this babble with, we never see arm fatigue with him. That's a red flag. This insinuation of this red flag, of this PED use from Stephen A is absolutely irresponsible journalism, especially considering that he averaged over 160 innings pitched from 2010 to 2013, then threw 170 plus innings in 2014, 2015 timeframe, and with the playoffs, that's where he got the 219 innings pitched. Now, the last two starts in the playoffs, we all know, we're Cubs fans. Jake struggled. He had a combined innings pitch of 10.2, and in those last two starts, his ERA was 6.78. Now, what was credited for the all of a sudden just struggling? You might ask that question. You want to know? It was arm fatigue. This is, again, a Google search. You can find it. It's why he's been pulled out of games earlier in the season when it's not a close game already. Even if he doesn't have any runs on the board, even if he has pitched a shutout thus far, to keep his arm fresh. It's a very simple Google search, small company. Now, then there is the statement of Jake being sent down to AAA by the Cubs without a mention from Skip Bayless of the reason for that happening. Now, with the Baltimore Orioles, Jake was instructed to try to pitch direct to the plate. That's not what Jake does. Doesn't do it now. Didn't do it then, not well. He goes crossbody. It's his style. It's his form. It's like Chris Sale with the White Sox with that little condor style. It's what Jake does. It's what makes him successful. In Baltimore, where he struggled, they tried to mess with his mechanics. In Chicago, they sent him down when they acquired him to get back to what was natural for him, and that is the crossbody style. So to explain or to indicate that we sent him down for performance issues when it was a mechanical issue to get back to what made him successful in a top 40 prospect is irresponsible journalism. All right. Now, how about this little fact that nobody brought up on First Take? You want to know what Jake Arrieta's average velocity was in 2013? This is nuts. This is nuts. It's 93.7. How about this year? I mean, they're insinuating he's on PEDs, right? It's got to be 95 at least, right? 97 maybe? 93.9. 93.9. 0.2 miles per hour. If that's the result of steroids, then Jake Arrieta needs a fucking refund immediately from whoever the hell he's getting that from. It's 0.2 miles an hour. That's a very simple fact. Right there on Fangraphs. Look it up, and that's something that anybody with ESPN's resources could look up on a small search engine called Google. Now, ESPN, you should be ashamed of yourself. You've been putting out this garbage for years. You've been letting Stephen A. and Skip Bayless, God bless he didn't renew his contract. So glad he'll be gone in August. You've been letting them have this garbage out there for years. And yet you have the audacity to let somebody go on TV and just make blanket statements with zero facts behind it that insinuate steroid use at the big league level. ashamed of yourself. There is not a credible place in sports journalism that would have allowed that in any time up until the last 5 years when ESPN's just gone to hell and back. Now, with that, I want to talk about any other profession where you can be so categorically wrong and still have your job tomorrow. Because it sure as hell isn't any profession other than sports journalism on ESPN or the weatherman. So with that, I mean, ESPN, I have a forecast for you. It's the ESPN lifelong forecast, all right? It's cloudy with a 100% chance of shit reporting. Now, that's going to be moving forward on ESPN. Now, you can hold me to that one. Hold me accountable. I might sound like a weatherman, but I actually know what I'm talking about here. If you tune into ESPN tomorrow, you are guaranteed 100% chance cloudy with shit reporting. So, again, let's get back to baseball tonight. Watch Jake Arrieta silence these haters on the mound against the Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe he'll throw another no-no just to stick it to Stephen A. one time. I'm David McKenzie. Follow me on Twitter at DMcKen22. Follow Chicago Style Sports at Shy Style Sports. Go to ChicagoStyleSports.com, CubsChat.com. We love to hear from you. And again, let's go Cubs.